Good day, everyone. We have a fun one today. I've got my nasal strip on so I can breathe a little better because today's going to be a fun one. So Dr. Stillman is still traveling, and so you just have me today, and we're going to be doing these lives every 9-ish a.m. Monday through Friday, and I'm looking forward to getting consistent with this, and I enjoy doing these, and I enjoy the feedback that I've gotten. Thank you for that. Quote of the day from JFK, one of my favorite presidents. Do not pray for easy lives. Pray to be a stronger man or men. Pray for stronger men. Okay. It's interesting in today's climate that JFK would be considered a right-wing conservative. And I am a libertarian, just for the record. Both sides hate me. So it's kind of interesting being in the middle. I basically do no harm to others is basically where I live my life. What you do in the privacy of your own home is completely your deal. I really don't care what you do. The caveat is as long as it's between consenting adults. That's basically the caveat on that. But that being said, we have to look at history and we have to look at consequences of what as a society we project as the ideal. And this is where things get sticky because 20, even 15, even 10 years ago, I could have a rational conversation with someone, present my side, present my argument. The other side would present theirs. And we would look at the information. And a lot of times you would agree to disagree and you would just live your lives. Now, if you present your opinion, even if it's based on facts, you offend someone else, you offend their feelings, and you trigger them, and they cancel you, they scream at you, they shout you down. There's a lack of rational conversation by design. And I mean, we could get into that, could be a whole show, but by design to shut people up and to make them just be quiet and to follow, correct? And what has happened? So in our practice, coaching practice and our medical practice, here's basically, and with myself in my career, I've worked with a lot of athletes, a lot of young men that I've mentored from, 8th grade all the way through to college, and a lot of young ladies too, helping them with confidence and helping them, with all sorts of good stuff, right? In our practice, we see two things. We see the super high achieving mom, okay, who's trying to have a career, be a CEO and be a mom and be a model and piling all these things on her plate and basically destroying herself in the name of having all the things. And then we have the overachieving CEO executive that basically has run himself into the ground, and we have to teach him how to balance things out a little bit and self-care. And same with the lady, we have to teach her look, you can't be all these things. You need to be able to shut this self off. You can't take care of everyone else in your life and not take care of yourself first. So we educate these people. In the middle is this massive, massive group of men. In particular, we're talking about men today, that have been told in our society, we have, instead of celebrating the differences between men and women, and generally speaking, there are exceptions, which is fine, not a problem with that. Men tend to be more into things, engineering, things like that. Women tend to be more into people. They tend to be more nurturers. They tend to be nurses. They tend to be teachers. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? The problem is we've told men and women that that's bad, okay? And it looks like it's going to rain. So if it starts raining and I run with the computer underneath to get shelter, you'll know why. But basically, our society is telling men and women that they're essentially the same and they're equal. Men and women both have different strengths, right? That's why, it's funny, these people that are saying men and women are the same and that toxic, men are toxic, but if something goes wrong, they call the police, which generally are more made up of men. There are women police officers. I've trained many of them, and they can do a really good job. But generally speaking, security detail teams, military tend to be men, okay? Because that's something that men are a little bit better at, generally speaking, correct? So instead of celebrating the differences between the two genders, we've told men that one, they're not needed. Okay. Two, stand down and basically mind your business and shut up, right? Like, stop being a dude. Don't have any drive. Don't have ambition. And is it any wonder we've got hundreds of millions of men in their basement watching porn, smoking weed? Okay. Because they've been told, like, there's no room for you here. We don't want you. We don't care about you. You basically just become a useful idiot in your basement. And then we're telling women on the other extreme, go get the career, do that. That's going to make you happy. Chase it. And if you want to do that, that's totally fine. Your business, your life, you decide. But we're telling women that they not only have to be, a mom, but they also have to be a CEO. Okay. And we've basically replaced the man with the state. Now, where am I going with this? So Dr. Stillman and I have a passion for these men that have been forgotten. Okay. And you might be a lady watching this and like, what do I have? What does this have to do with me? Well, I've worked with a lot of families, a lot of couples over the years. If you're a woman and you're looking at your dude and he has lost his drive, he has lost his will, he has lost the edge, and you're looking at him and you're just like, dude, like, come on, please, like, get your life together, and there's nothing, the worst thing you can do if you're a lady in that situation is nag him. So what we're doing is we're putting together, we have some videos about the biggest mistakes men are making with testosterone, with lifestyle. And in the comments, there'll be 3 ways that you can basically get in. If you're a dude and you're in a bad place, you can click on one of the link trees, go to Testosterone Secrets. That'll take you to an email sequence that'll register you for a webinar. We're very transparent about this stuff. If you're a lady and you see someone in your life, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your brother, maybe it's a nephew, maybe it's a friend, and you see they're struggling, like they're not doing good. They have no purpose. They have no drive. They've let themselves go to hell, so to speak. There's a video down there that there's a link that'll take you right to the video where Dr. Stillman goes into the biggest mistakes that you're seeing men make. So what you can do is you text them and say, hey, we actually had one of our staff members do this yesterday with one of her family members. Hey, here's, these guys that are talking about men and men's issues. You might want to check this video out and send them there, and we'll talk to them and we'll tell them about the webinar. So that's a kind of an indiscreet way without you having to be a nag to tell them, hey, dude, here's some information that might be helpful for you. And then it's on them. People have to, you can't force people to change. Like whenever I would have a couple that I would work with and the one couple, the person was more into taking care of themselves than the other, I'd be like, just set a good example. Don't be a nag. And then hopefully they'll see the results that you're having and they'll jump on board. A lot of times, kind of like the crabs in the bucket, the one partner will be improving their health and the other partner is trying to pull them back into the bucket because they don't want that person to raise up over them. Sometimes that happens and you have to make the right decision for you. So a lot of times there's this dynamic, but I always tell these couples, like, you focus on yourself and hopefully the other person will come along for the ride. And sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't, but you have to take care of yourself in the context of your deal. Right. And then on the other side of that, you'll have a partnership where the lady is like, dude, like you're rolling like down a wrong path. And she just nags him and she nags him and she nags him. That doesn't work. Like riding somebody and nagging them, especially an adult. Now with children, that's a little different. Like children need to be told what to do and provided structure. But when, and as an adult, I've observed all sorts of family dynamics. The families that do the best are the ones where the parents lead by example and set boundaries for their children, because there's nothing worse than the parent doing one thing and telling the children to do the opposite. And the child's sitting there going like, this is really silly. My parents are telling me I need to, get the lights, get my phone. I can't look at my phone after 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, but they're up, until 11, 12 o'clock watching TV and doing whatever. So you've got to lead by example. You've got to do these things to set an example for your children. And you have to basically give people information, and that person has to be willing to change on their own. shouldn't change for you. They should change for themselves. And the person, like the dude in the situation, should want to be the best version of themselves, not only for themselves, but the side effect is also for you and the family. So there's basically your options. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I'm sure there'll be some people that won't be very happy about what I said today, and that's totally fine. People, like, more than happy with people disagreeing and not liking what I say. We still have freedom of speech for now. But that's basically what Dr. Stillman and I are doing. We're doing a course to help out young men, actually men of all ages, but we really want to reach out and create something for men that are in a bad place, because there's a lot of men today that are really, really struggling with the way the world is kind of, the Western world anyways, has kind of degraded them, I would say. So that being said, if there's no questions, have yourself a wonderful day. Make sure you get outside today. Like, over and over again, like, I don't think people understand the importance. If you look at like John Ott and his work, John Ott was a time-lapse photographer for Disney. And he literally would have to get these flowers to basically bloom at certain times for films. And he figured out, like, they needed certain light frequencies for them to bloom. And then he figured out animals needed certain light frequencies to reproduce, to migrate, to do all these different things. Your entire biology is driven by the sun, right? So the more natural light you get in your life, the better your biology is going to operate. And we've created this artificial environment where the temperature is the same, the light is the same frequency all day, which does not happen in nature. As I'm sitting here, the light frequency is changing. Okay, we're in the early morning, so there's a little more red. As the afternoon goes on, there'll be more UV, and then there'll be less UV. So it's so important for you to get your biology outside and to get hooked into that natural light cycle and that natural life pattern. The information is slowly starting to become mainstream, which is great. People like Huberman have really done a really good job of bringing this mainstream. 6, 7, 8 years ago when I was talking about this stuff, people looked at me like I was a lunatic. And now I can push them towards a guy like Andrew Huberman and say, hey, here's this mainstream, Stanford scientist that's talking about how important morning light is for your biology and your overall health. And I think that as time goes on, circadian rhythm and circadian biology and all these things are going to be found to be the cornerstone of your health. And it really sets the stage for everything else. So make sure you take the time to get outside several times a day today. If you're a parent, make sure you take the time to get your children, lead by example. I worked with a family a couple of months ago, and we can't get our kids to go outside. I'm like, do you go outside with them? Well, no. And so they started taking the children outside and playing with them. And as the children started getting used to being outside instead of being on a tablet, the children then realized how much fun it was to be outside and be playing. And they did it on their own. They would actually go out on their own. But a lot of times it takes the parents to actually set the example and to get them outside. So do your children a favor. Go outside and play catch with them for a few minutes. Get them to fall in love with playing in the backyard, playing in the dirt, doing the things that we all did as we grew up naturally. I mean, my parents literally kicked us out of the house and locked us out. I know it's a little different today because things are just not the same as they used to be. But be that parent that goes outside and sets an example, not only for your own health, but for the health of your children. So there you go. Have yourself a great day. Get outside, get your natural light, and use the resources below to help someone in your life that might be struggling. We'll see you tomorrow.